Before the rise of the Empire, before the Jedi knew Kamino even existed, the Kaminoans were already perfecting a science that would one day change the fate of the galaxy forever. But how did this remote, storm-racked world on the very edge of wild space give birth to one of the most obedient, efficient, and lethal army the Republic had ever known? And what secret was buried beneath the waves, so dangerous, so damning, that the Empire obliterated every trace of Kaminoan civilization? To find that answer, we must dive deep into Kamino's ancient past, its scientific rise, its deadly secrets, and ultimately, its deliberate erasure from history. Kamino wasn't always an ocean world. Long before its oceans swallowed the surface, Kamino was a land-based planet of glacial plains and vast continental plateaus. The Kaminoans, once terrestrial beings, thrived in cities of stone and steel. Their long-limbed forms, now suited for sterile hallways and shallow seas, were originally evolved for navigating solid terrain. Then came the flood. Around 19,000 BBY, a catastrophic climate shift triggered the melting of Kamino's polar ice caps. Seas rose, continents vanished beneath the waves. The Kaminoans stood on the brink of extinction, but instead of seeking help from the Republic, they turned inward. Isolation became policy, pride became identity, and in their desperation, the Kaminoans embraced a new path: genetic science. To survive the water, they reshaped themselves, biologically and culturally. They built their cities on towering stilts, suspended above the stormy seas, and began the work that would come to define them: cloning. What began as a survival tool evolved into something far greater. To the Kaminoans, cloning was never merely science, it was philosophy, a way to perfect their species, to refine society, to eliminate weakness. They cloned themselves for labour, for research, even for governance. Entire castes were designed for specific roles, engineered to perform with absolute efficiency. By 4,500 BBY, whispers of Kamino's expertise had reached even the distant ears of the Republic. Though largely unknown and unvisited, Kamino had become a name associated with genetic miracles and moral ambiguity. Their Kyber dart weaponry, later used to kill Zam Wesell, symbolized their clinical precision and secrecy. But all of that changed with a single commission. Sometime before 32 BBY, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas came to Kamino with a bold request: create an army for the Republic. Though the Jedi Council rejected his vision, the Kaminoans accepted. To them, it was destiny. Using the genetic material of Jango Fett, a Mandalorian bounty hunter, they undertook their most ambitious cloning project to date, not just duplicating a man, but redesigning him. Accelerated aging, obedience programming, rigorous training regimens, and unbeknownst to the Jedi, something far more sinister. What secret was hidden in every clone that made them loyal not to the Jedi, but to their destroyer? Buried inside each clone was a microscopic implant, the inhibitor chip. Officially described as behavioural safeguard, its true purpose was far more disturbing. Programmed by agents of Darth Sidious, through his apprentice Count Dooku, the chip contained Order 66, a coded directive to exterminate the Jedi. It lay dormant for years, invisible even to the Jedi who commanded the army, until the fateful day it was activated. In a single instant, loyalty shifted. Brothers in arms became executioners. The Jedi fell in droves. The Kaminoans, whether aware of the full implications or not, had engineered the perfect betrayal. Their clones had functioned flawlessly. Their contract was fulfilled. So why did the Empire return? Not in gratitude, but with fire and fury. When Vice Admiral Rampart ordered an orbital bombardment of Tipoca City, under secret orders from Governor Tarkin, Kaminoan civilization was wiped out in a single night. Buildings, laboratories, databanks, and citizens gone, swallowed by the sea that had once nearly destroyed them. But this wasn't just an act of military restructuring. This was surgical erasure. The Empire didn't merely decommission the cloning program, it eliminated every trace of Kaminoan science, history, and knowledge. Why? Because Kamino represented something the Empire could not control: independent innovation. The Kaminoans had built an army for the Republic. They could do it again, for someone else. Their secrets were a threat. But perhaps more chillingly, what else did they know that the Empire couldn't risk surviving? To outsiders, Kaminoan cities looked sterile and lifeless. But to Kaminoan eyes, evolved to perceive ultraviolet light, these cities were alive with colour, meaning, and memory. Buildings like Tipoca City and Durham City were painted in ultraviolet dyes invisible to human vision. To the Kaminoans, every wall was a canvas, every corridor a story. Visitors walked through seemingly blank hallways, unaware of the vibrancy all around them. And buried beneath the waves, deeper still, were ruins of their older cities, abandoned settlements like Durham, whose foundations may predate even Tipoca itself. In the wake of the Great Sith War, one Jedi Master, Qualsneak the Bull, hid a trove of Jedi artifacts in Durham City. Its precise location remains unknown, lost beneath the oceans. But its mention suggests something staggering. Kamino may have once been far more connected to galactic history than we ever realized. Kamino's isolation didn't just produce science, it produced myth. In one legend, the oceans were ruled by a powerful god beast named Protoss, who defied the migration of the Iwa, Kamino's majestic flying sea creatures. We see Obi-Wan Kenobi ride one of these during the Clone Wars. When Protoss prevented them from reaching warmer waters, a sacrifice by one of the Iwa doomed the god and saved their kind. Scholars interpret this tale as an allegory for Kamino's own history, Protoss representing the prideful pre-flood civilization, and the Iwa symbolizing adaptability and survival. But there's more. Some believe the Kaminoans may have cloned the Iwa themselves, possibly blending DNA from other aquatic creatures like the Fambass of Naboo. If true, it would mark one of the earliest known cases of interplanetary bioengineering, a chilling testament to the depth of Kamino's experimentation. What other hybrid creatures, forgotten or undiscovered, might still lurk in Kamino's drowned ruins? When the Empire bombarded Kamino, they didn't just destroy a facility, they destroyed a culture, one of the most advanced genetic civilizations the galaxy had ever known. Their cities lie beneath the waves, their data erased, their people scattered, missing, or dead. But the mystery remains. What knowledge did they take with them to the depths? Were there hidden programs beyond the Grand Army of the Republic? Were there clones we never saw? Experiments locked away in hidden labs, waiting? Kamino created the perfect soldiers, but perfection came at a price. And in the end, the very empire that benefited from their brilliance chose to bury them, so no one else ever could. But what do you think? Should the Empire have utilised Kamino and kept the clone army? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, like, subscribe, and join us next week for another deep dive into the archives. Thanks for watching.